10:03, what's happening? It's the fan. It is the Tiki and Tierney Show as we try to stave off elimination. Knick fans, we'll get to you. I also think there's a big issue with the Mets. I mean, a monster issue with the Mets.
Come on, man.
Well,
it's like supernova issue with the Mets right
but
now.
it's an issue that we really haven't focused on. We focused on some of their issues. This issue is different.
Yeah, it is. Look, we talked about this a little bit yesterday because of the Max Scherzer admission that he was injured. And we speculated this a couple of weeks ago, and now it's kind of come to fruition, unfortunately, for the Mets. He gets pulled from his start. Yesterday, David Peterson has to come up, and, David Peterson is such an interesting case because he's a good pitcher. He's up there in the league with Ks per 9, but he just gets rocked because he throws a lot of fastballs because he can't find the zone. And it made me start thinking about the management of this team. We talk often, talking about the Mets, we talk often about Francisco Lindors and the Mark Cannas of the world. Like these guys who are just underperforming and not living up to an MLB roster. And we say, oh, the kids. He's got these kids. Miguel's just raking. You told me this stat before the show started that 5 bat-on-ball contacts, 2 hits, all of them 100-plus exit velocity.
That was from Mauricio. Mauricio went 2 for 5. Vientos went yard. Mauricio was 2 for 5. Of the 5 balls he put in play, everyone was over 100 miles per hour exit velo.
So think about what we're saying. Bring them up. These guys need to be brought up. So it made me start saying, all right, if you are looking at the Mets, who is the force that could determine winning? Is it Billy Epler? Probably not, because he hasn't really won.
He's actually influencing losing.
Yeah. So
more than he's influencing winning.
I get, and I laud, actually, his acquisition of Shohei Ohtani when he was with the Angels. I give him a ton of credit.
You have.
I read how that went down, and he did an unbelievable job. But have they ever been a winner? No. The Mets consistently, just as an organization, have been flirt with the Artesia and then fall apart. The one piece of the front office that you look at and say, I can trust in him, is Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter has done it in multiple places. The Yankees, even though he didn't win a championship, but he set them up for one. Orioles, he was really good there as well. He's done these things and built a team and managed them to exceed expectations. He's not doing that right now. And I think his biggest fault is that he's not screaming from the mountaintops the way that we are screaming from the mountaintops to bring the best players in the organization up. Forget service time. Forget all this. Oh, we want these vets to figure that. Forget
contracts.
Forget it. Forget that. Because if he doesn't start doing that, and this team starts sliding to, now they're 2 games under 500, and they slide to 3, 4, 5, 8 games under 500 before you can get close to the All-Star break, he's going to get fired. And you know what, BT? It would be justified. It would be justified if he got fired, if this team keeps sliding and he doesn't start screaming at Billy Epler, give me talent. I know the injury bug is hit, but hell, you knew that the injury bug was a possibility when you have 40-year-old pitchers. Yeah. And you have guys that can't stay consistently healthy. Of course, we saw this coming. You warned us at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but it's not
this could happen.
Oh, yes.
But
I don't think it's Buck's fault. We're going to fire Buck.
I'm not saying fire Buck. I'm saying if Buck Showalter.
What in the world is going on here?
If Buck Showalter doesn't start screaming to get the best players on this roster.
You mean publicly, too? Do you think that that's important?
However, it's got to happen.
Well, but yeah, I got you.
It's got to happen.
But publicly, maybe that's the way to go.
I mean,
you don't think that he's telling Billy, I need some horses up here, bro.
I don't know if he's telling him. Because why? Because I set it up for a reason, BT.
Yeah.
Stevie Cohen is an Uber fan. Love the guy. Love who he is. Loves what he tries to do. But he knows he's a fan and not a baseball man. So are you trusting Billy Epler in these moments, or are you trusting Buck Showalter in these moments?
I would trust Buck more.
Exactly.
100%.
And the fact that Buck is watching this team just slowly fade to, I mean, what are they at?
The Mets are going nowhere.
They're going nowhere.
This team is not good.
And the only way they're getting there is if Buck stands up and screams. Yeah, I want to say, publicly says, we need to bring these kids up. We need to do something. We need to do anything. We need to do something. Because what we're doing is not working.
Let me. Wow. Jeez, this is wow. All right, let me sort through this here. Hoff, get in. You're the Mets fan.
Okay.
So let's make the distinction. Tiki's not saying fire Buck. He's saying Buck's got to do this. And if it's not done or whatever, then maybe Buck's got to go. I think that's crazy. You?
I don't think he's too far off. I think that Buck is kind of fitting in this Gerard Gallant thing of just let the guys play. And unfortunately, right now, when you watch a Mark Canha hitting the double plays, Luis Guillorme pinch hit.
Yeah.
Keeping
with the bases loaded.
With
by
the bases,
way.
yeah, with the bases loaded. When you've had ops where you decided to keep Peterson in the game too long, you don't know when to sub in other pitchers. You don't know when to use your pinch hitters properly. Honestly, Buck is not doing the job, and I love Buck Showalter, but there's other guys out there that I think would light some fire.
Let me hear a name.
Mark DeRosa.
Actually, I really like DeRosa.
Yeah,
I love him on TV. I think he's good.
Because
he's a local guy. He's Jersey
guy. He's a local guy. And listen, he just coached Team USA
out
there.
Did.
Bring him in. He wants. He's dying for a job.
God.
There needs to be more.
Wow.
There needs to be
more
action. No, there just needs to be more action.
Think about what's being. Well, I'm not even saying that you guys are 100% wrong. I don't totally agree. But it is the middle of May, and we're now yelling fire Buck.
Okay, but BT, where's success coming from?
From Syracuse.
Exactly.
I know, but that's not a Buck thing.
Why isn't it?
Because he's not the GM.
But that's why I set it up the way I set it up.
I got you, and it's smartly crafted on your part. I got it.
If you are looking at the Mets and you're saying, all right, what's gonna help make this team better? Is it Epler's decisions or is it Buck's forcing Epler to make those decisions? To me, it's the latter.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's happening. I mean, clearly it's not. Because, I mean...
Oh, but they just sent Carlos Beltran on to get a little scout report. Hey, Carlos, how do the kids look in AAA? Let's see, Buck. Another home run. OPS is 1,300. I don't know. We'll give another week. We'll let it marinate.
That's my point.
Where are these kids?
That's my point. And it's not even about the kids, per se.
Oh, this is a joke, though. It's negligent on the part of the Mets. Get them up!
And if there's someone that needs to control this, and I would trust to control this, it's Buck Showalter, not Billy Epler. And I'm not seeing it happening. Yeah. Fans aren't seeing it happening. And every single loss slides you closer to irrelevancy.
Yep.
You've mentioned this multiple times. The Braves are going to run away.
Oh, it's a wrap. Right? Braves are twice as good as the Mets.
I tell you,
stop.
The Mets are lucky that the rest of the division also sucks ass. It's so serious. Right. I mean, the Miami Marlins got a better record than the Mets right now. Philly just can't figure it out, but maybe at some point they get healthy and they do. They're comfortable sitting in the fourth row.
And, they ain't going to be there too much longer.
Exactly.
Trust me.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Washington's going
problems.
nowhere, but still, there's a good shot in a week and a half.
Yeah.
The Mets are going to be in fourth place in the NL East. There's a good shot.
I said that yesterday, but but both of you guys told me that the Mets will be in second place
at the end of the year. At the end of the year, you said.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I said. I thought I said at the end of the month.
Maybe you did, but
there was some sort of qualification.
But that was before Scherzer goes down with a neck injury.
I thought his scapula was jacked up. Now it's the neck. The Mets, they are in ruins right now, Hoff.
Let me just put it this way. Last year, what did the Philadelphia Phillies do?
They fired Girardi.
Yeah. Wow, what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Okay. So, fire Buck Showalter, bring in DeRosa.
Jeez.
World Series, here we go. The team is not that big. Listen, there are pieces to this team that are
bad, dude. Your starting pitching stinks and your offense isn't nearly that good.
I get that, but you're also dealing with someone that's not creating fire.
Yeah,
he's just got to go figure it out.
Yeah, you think he lost his edge?
No, here's what I think is happening, BT. I think that we talked about the Mets philosophy a month ago. How our philosophy is this is why the young kids are down. We're going to bring some veterans who have some experience, and Escobar and Scherzer and Verlander, these guys, former Cy Youngs, Quintana. We have a philosophy, and the philosophy was we're going to go with the old guys. Well, it very quickly proved to be true that these old guys just aren't up for the task, at least not up for the 162 game task, because they're just old. It just is what it is. And so at some point you got to recognize, all right, that was good, but it's not working. We need to shift. Like, we need to change. But instead, what Buck Showalter is saying, and I think this is what Hoff is alluding to, he's saying, I trust these old guys. I think they'll figure it out. Right? Give them time. They've been around the game for a long time. It'll come back to them. But the problem is, in the interim, you're going to get run away from in your division. Right? Look, we talked about it yesterday. They are currently 7th. 6 teams make the postseason. They're 7th in the wild card. If they let this linger for another 3 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, until these old vets figure it out, they're going to be out of it.
Oh, I agree.
And so it's like something's got to change. And do we trust Billy Upler to change that?
No.
The answer is no. Do we trust Buck Showalter? The answer should be yes, but unless he's doing nothing. And if he's not doing anything, then trust me, BT, he's not going to be the coach here.
Wow. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. Nothing to see here, just a normal conversation. Inside of our Town Fair Tire studio, our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. All right, now a couple things here. First of all, the essence of Buck Showalter, and I'm a huge Buck Showalter fan.
As am I.
I know you are. I know. But I do think, and I've always thought it's been slightly overstated, Buck Showalter's been a manager 22 years. That's more than 2 decades, right? Yep. He's managed over 3,000 games, all right? He's won 54% of his games with the Yankees. Good, not great. 51% with the but again, the Yankees were in ruin, so that is to be fair. I mean, the way it wound up was great compared to what he inherited, so I want to be fair to Buck. 51% with the Diamondbacks, 49% with Texas, 49% with the Orioles, okay? Payroll restraints, budgetary issues, lack of prospects. Yeah, you could probably tell both sides of the story here. But in 22 years, he's only managed 26 playoff games. The couple of that we watched last year, his team was sleepwalking. A couple of years ago, before that with the Orioles, he forgot to use his closer, who was one of the best in the game. Like, I'm not saying Buck is not beyond reproach, all right? But I now want to flip this, because I think it's bigger than that. And I'm going to include the Yankees for a second. I'm going to take Buck. I'm going to put him back in the Bronx for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Boone, and I'm going to put him in Queens. Is there any real change with the product with either team this year?
No.
The answer is no.
No.
Because it's a Cashman problem, and it's an Epler problem.
Yes, but my point, and this is really the only point I'm making, and it's not necessarily fire Buck. It's if Buck is not usurping Billy Epler's power as the general manager and saying, we are going nowhere unless you do X, Y, and Z. I've been a manager for 22 years. I've seen this from so many different angles, and unless you give me X, Y, or Z, including some of these young kids, and find me a reliable arm, we are going nowhere. But I think Buck Buck should, because that's the reason he's here. He should have the power to change this roster to one that is viable each and every night. It is not a viable roster.
It's garbage.
It's just not.
Dior may pinch hit last night with the bases juice. Dior may pinch hit.
I know Francisco Alvarez is starting to hit. He's starting to earn that job. He's framing things right. He's growing into the role that everybody thought he would be. And by the way, it's the same thing that happened to him in single A and double A, triple A. Like, he finds his way, Francisco Alvarez. So we're not surprised by that. Well, those other kids, they're probably going to be able to find their way as well, especially over these veterans that Buck has continued to trot out there and say, they'll figure it out. They're not. They're not.
Let's get John on Staten Island. This is going to be very interesting. John is on the Fan Tiki and Tierney Show. What's going on, Johnny boy? How are you?
Hello, fellas. Great show as always.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, here we go. Number one, I'm all for bringing up Vientos and Mauricio. I would have Mauricio at second tonight. I'd have Jeff and McNeil in left field.
Yep.
And I would, at the very least, Vientos would be splitting time with Vogelback, lefty-righty, DH. And if he earns everyday DH, give it to him. That's fine. But let's look at this team. A team will go as far as Scherzer, Verlander, and to a lesser extent, Senga will take them.
Yep.
There's no you can bring up anybody you want, Tiki, but there's no options pitching wise.
Well, look, but hold
They're
on.
all here.
But hold on. Look what happened last night, John. Right. So, and I give Buck credit for getting tossed Because I mean, that was clear interference. It should have been a double play, inning over.
There were multiple mistakes on that play that the umps missed.
100%.
Yep.
So he gets tossed, right? But last night with David Peterson pitching, despite the struggles that David Peterson has had, his ERA is over 7 at this point, the Mets still had a chance to win the game.
But okay,
right?
But
and so the reason they didn't is because of what we've said multiple times. You got Luis Guillorme pinch hitting.
But that's one instance. You're facing the Cincinnati Reds. You spot somebody a 5-1 lead, a good team, you're not coming back on them no matter who you line up.
The Reds aren't a good team.
They're a horrible team. That's my point. That's why you could come back on them like they did. But if Peterson was supposed to be one of your fifth starter, he's been garbage. McGill's been disappointing. Senger is mediocre. If Scherzer doesn't turn it around and Verlander doesn't stay healthy, it doesn't matter who you bring up. There are no answers in the minors. And when you go out and you get older pitching, this is the gamble they took.
Yeah.
And it's on Cohen too. I love Cohen. But he wanted Verlander, he wanted Scherzer, he paid for him. He wanted Correa. If the doctors didn't talk him out of it, Correa would be here batting 185. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, no, you're right, not wrong. Appreciate your call, John. But I just think there's more that Buck should be doing to fix this roster. I'm not forget the in-game, managing. That's one thing. Some people have problems with that. I'm talking about get this roster where you have a chance.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me, because I know that he talks to Billy Epler clearly, and I'm sure that he's communicated, hey, Billy, I need some horses. We're not going to do anything with this crew. All right. Assuming that that's happened, and I assume that it has, let's say that Billy is not receptive to that. Are you saying, because while we disagree a little bit on the perception of not of the Mets, but of Buck's situation, at that point, don't you think Buck should just say, screw Epler, I'm going right to Cohen? Almost put the knife in his back. Like, dude, if you're not going to listen to me, you're going to give me C- players, D+ players to pinch hit with the bases loaded when I've lost 11 of 13, then I'm not going to deal with you. I'm going to the owner. That's it.
The 5-year project has 2 years left. That's all I know.
877-337-6666. The Mets are gross. They really are gross. They're just gross. Another way around. I mean, what happens when you play good teams? To the last caller's point that he's right. You don't come back from a 6-0 deficit. You don't rally because good teams don't let you do that. I mean, you can't even beat the doormats right now. Wow. Season's in peril. Mets are hanging by a thread.